In this tutorial we're going to be looking at unwrapping some primitives and then some game assets in Maya. So the first thing we're going to do then is load up our unwrap window by pressing this tab here. If you've got a second monitor, I like to keep my unwrap window on my second monitor, but obviously for this tutorial keep it on one monitor. Another useful thing, if you press click on this tab and get two windows open, then click on this drop down here and select the UV texture editor. Well, you need to close it here first, that's why I couldn't see it. So select the UV texture editor. Then you can also work in two viewports like that. So it's up to you what you prefer. Of course, you could just have this as one of your orthographic views as well, and then also have that open. Okay, so obviously the process of unwrapping is taking a model and unwrapping it onto a 2D space so you can create a texture for it. So we're going to start off with this simple box object here. Now let's go through a couple of the display options. So first of all, most of your options you can find listed up here, and you can also find a bunch of different tools in your drop downs here. So we're going to cover as much of these today as we can. Okay, so first of all, in terms of visual, if you tick this button here, you can see you can get that translucent fill on this here, and that can make it a lot easier to visualize stuff. So one thing we want to do is apply a checker material to this. So if we just go to bonus tools, rendering, assign checker shader on all those, that will place a checker shader, which obviously makes it easier to tell if you've got any distortion in your UVs and they've all got the same amount of texture space. If you want to change the number of squares that are displaying on here, just select one of your models and go to Lambert 30, go into the color tab, go to place 2D texture, and you can increase it in your repeat UV here, or decrease it depending on how big you want the squares. So let's do this box first. So we can see by default Maya will give you some UVs to work with, but obviously what we want to do with this checker is make sure that all of these are square, so not stretched like that, and that there's no distortion. Now there's no distortion in here, so it's literally just the scaling we need to fix. One useful tool, if you come in here and right click and go to face mode and just select all these faces, you have this unfold tool here. Now if you left click, that will try and unwrap your model to match the object. We can see that's done a pretty good job of it. Now one thing we might want to do though, you can see how what it's done is it's put three sides here and it's put one side here. So really this would be better if it was actually attached. So let's fix that up. So if we select this face and go to polygons, split UVs, and we can drag that off. Then if we right click and go to edge mode and just select either edge, you can see if I select that edge, it's highlighted this edge, and what that means is that these two edges are connected. So in order to stick this together, we just go to edge mode, we can see that we need to actually flip this round. So there's a couple of ways to do this. One way is just to right click, go to UV, select these two UVs, and you could literally just turn it like that. Another way is to select the face and use these options here. So if I hit that one, that will flip the face around, and that one will turn it upside down. Now you can also see here, see the way this is highlighted red? Well, that means it's mirrored compared to the model. So really we want to keep all those blue. So if I flip this vertical as well, you can see that now means it's facing the right way. So now if we right click and go to edge, select that edge, we can see those two are matching. And UVs, this will be, you can see if I select here, look at my viewport, the way it's on, both of those are the same UV, and down here they're the same as well. So how do we stick them together? Right click, go to edge mode, select the edge and go to polygons, move insert UVs. So we need to do the same on this cap. We might be able to just select that edge and go to polygons, move insert UVs. So obviously we want this to fit within our texture space here, which is this square here. So to select it, you can either do UV, right click UV and then just do a left marquee and put it into place, or you can do tool, move UV shell tool and just select any UV on it, that will move it as well. So that's looking pretty good. Let's select our next object. We'll do the cylinder actually. Now you can see that this has been given some UVs already by Maya, but we can see, look how stretched these squares are. So these top ones are nice and square, but these ones are stretched. Also, if we have a look, so let's say that edge, so it's this edge and this edge, look at the difference in width. So obviously this is using up more space than this one, even though they're the same width. So let's just try, we'll select all our UVs, so right click UV and then just select them all, and we'll try our left clicking on our unfold again. Now that doesn't look like it's done a great job. One thing we can just quickly try is polygons layout, and that has laid them out but it hasn't rescaled them. So what we need to do is get this to the right scale, and also notice how it's a bit jagged as well, and we want that nice and straight. So rather than using these, let's go to face mode, click on a face and then double click here, and that will select all of those. Bear in mind you could also, face mode, you could also do that in here. Now the reason why, even though I've gone to face there, it's not working, is because I'm still in move UV shell tool, so I need to go back to move, right click face, then I can select those. So we've got a couple of options here. We could just use create UVs, cylindrical mapping, and then what we'll want to do is drag these two red dots so they connect. And just as one little thing to show you, by the way, see the way the cylinder is fitting perfectly around here? Well, sometimes it will be rotated 90 degrees. If you ever want to rotate this back, just click on this little icon, click on the blue circle, and then you can rotate it to fit. So I'm going to hold J so that I'm snapping. You can see that's now 90 degrees. So if it ever comes in like that, that's all you need to do. Click on the red icon and then click on the rotate one, which I'm already on. So let's just do that again. Cylindrical mapping, drag this round like so. So that's one way to unwrap it, but look, we can see we've got a problem there as well. I'm surprised it's doing that. Let's try dragging it up and see if that helps. So what we want to do now is try and get these nice and square. Let's pull it down here. Remember, it should all fit into this window. The only reason I'm using this outer space is to make it easier to tweak these UVs. This little display button here will actually show your texture. Now I have the texture repeat on a few times, but if you want this to just display where the texture is, go to image range, click the options and set this to 1 and 1. And there you go. So that makes it easier to understand. I need to get everything fit into this window. So we've dragged this down here, and the reason we've done that is because we're going to right click and go to UV, and we're going to select this line here, And we're going to use these options here, and basically these will straighten out any UVs you have selected in the direction that it's pointing. So like if I go this one, it will move them down and straighten them out, and if I go this one, it will move them up and straighten them out. So if I move this one over here, if I select these two, you can straighten that out, and if I select this row, I can straighten that out. So what we want to do is get these so the squares match in size, and I'd say that's probably about right. Then I want you to go to Tool, Move UV Shell Tool, and we'll stick these here. Now what you can do is go to Edge Mode. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. One way is just to put these here, and obviously that's kind of a reasonable use of space, because we could plonk that, say, in here, go to our Move UV Shell tool and just position that there. So that's quite a good use of space, because we can put a load more stuff here. So I think actually what we want to do as well is, because you can see these aren't actually quite round, so if we just select this whole top area, or you can use the, well, you have to be in face mode for this actually, so right click, go to face and select that. You could try this. So I'm just going to get that right, then I'll show you what I did. Yeah, so we can use that one, but we want to make sure it's on the right options, and to select the options, you right click on Unfold, and if we select Unfold 3D, this is the new version, this will do this a bit better. So right click, go to UV, select a UV, and then hold Control right click to shell, and then hit apply on that. Same on here, to shell, apply, and that will make them nice and round, like so. So that's looking a lot better. Another way to do that really quickly, I might as well show you this as well. If we go to vertex mode in our viewport, select a vertex, hold Control F11, then go to create UVs, the options, make sure we're on the y-axis because that's going to be pointing straight down, and hit apply, and that will also do that perfectly. So let's do the base as well, vertex, Control F11 and hit apply. So they're now both exactly the right size and roundness. So there's two ways to do that then, using planar map or using this. So we'll go to Move UV Shell tool again, select these two, and get these two roughly the right size. I think that's not too bad. Then we'll right click and go to Edge Mode. We'll select an edge on one of these, and we'll try Polygons, Move and Sew UV Edges. If that doesn't work, we'll select that one, Move and Sew UV Edges. So if it's not liking it, it's moving the wrong one. What we may need to do is move this one off, select all these UVs, and let's try mirroring that. And then we'll try this one more time. There we go, so that one's moved okay, so maybe if we select that one first and do it, there we go. So yeah, select the one, if it's doing the wrong one, make sure you select the one that you want to be the main shape before you do it. Okay, so there's a kind of perfectly unwrapped cylindrical shape there. So we've got our box done, we've got our cylinder done, all we need to do now is the tube. So we're going to follow a similar process for this one as well. So we'll just select the tube, make sure you don't have the other model selected. And it's a similar thing, you can see basically the external area is a cylinder, the internal area is a cylinder, and you've got the top and the bottom. So let's do the top and the bottom first. Go to face mode, and we'll select top and the bottom. To do that, click one face, double click on the next one, and the same on the base loop, like that. And we'll use create UVs, planar mapping, because our settings should already be right. And remember, if you've got any of these, one of them will be facing the wrong way, just select that whole set and just flip that over. So we've got those two done. And you can see, because of the way Maya does a rough guess at the unwrap originally, we've already got these in the right shape. So rather than using cylindrical, let's just reshape this. So we use tool, move UV shell tool and select this. We've got the outer one here. I'll just use the scale tool and scale this until it's square. That's probably about right. And I'm also going to, although this is way oversized, I'm just going to get everything matching in size. So there we go. Then we just need to do this one as well. Now, because they're the same height, we should be able to just match the height. Now, one thing you can do is right click, go to UV, select this whole row, and if you hold down V and then just move up, you can actually snap those directly on. So I'm just going to go to shell mode here and just move these up, because you saw I couldn't select that lower row. So select the upper row, hold V and snap that down. Select this row, hold V and snap that down. And now that's definitely the perfect size in terms of height. So we'll select this loop and we'll expand this out. And we should find that this loop here will need to be a bit thinner. And obviously that's because the outer area here is a wider area than this inner one. So I'd say that's probably about right. So with this one, what we'll do is move this up to here maybe, select this area here and move this up to here. And then we can scale this into fit. So one question I get asked a lot is, can you have a really small distance between UV islands? Well, the answer is it's best to kind of avoid it because of mip-maps. So this is where the texture gets halved in resolution the further away the model is. So it's always best to leave some gap. That's not looking too bad. You can actually work out the right gap you can leave based on your texture size and how many times it mip-maps. So if it's going to mip-map once, then you want at least 2 pixels between it, and so on, like that. But just for kind of general working, I would leave a gap probably of about that. So maybe raise that a little bit higher. Obviously, if you're doing something like light maps, you'll want a much larger gap than that, because light maps tend to be very small in resolution. Okay, so those 3 are unwrapped pretty well, so I'm kind of happy with those. One little thing to note actually is you do have move and sew options up here as well. So what if we wanted to get all these onto one unwrap? Well, you can just select all the models like this, and obviously at the moment they are overlapping. So let's just try going to face mode and select everything. Now you can use polygons, layout, go to the options here. So we know we want single or multiple objects because we have 3 different objects selected here. We can set presets to object as long as we freeze transform first. So let's just try that. So we can see when we look at the model, all the UVs are the correct kind of square size. So it's kept the UVs and just tried to lay them out. At the moment we can see there's no real gap between these. So if you scroll down, you can increase the size here of the gap. So probably something like that is about right. You can also put this to free rotation, so it will rotate the models. Let's just get back to how we were before. So we can put that, so we get, this will rotate these to try and fit them as best it can. Or you can even set it to none, so if you've already got your rotation set, that will solve that for you as well. So you can use the layout tool for that kind of thing. Obviously another way to do this is to actually do all this yourself. So first thing to do obviously is to get all these to the right kind of square size. And this is where that, what I told you about earlier, by going to Lambert over here and setting the size of your squares can help. So now it's easier to judge if they're the right size or not. So maybe this one needs to be downscale a little bit too. So that's probably about right. And so you could see, you could lay this out exactly how you want as well, rather than using the tool I just showed you. I mean, you could mirror this, but mirroring can cause problems with normal maps and things like that, so I tend to, just for now, if I was you, I would avoid mirroring it. You probably could rotate it though and try and slot it in there. And maybe the same with this one. So you can see, you can spend a fair bit of time trying to get this just right. There we go, that's not too bad. Okay, so that's our 3 assets done, and if you wanted, that would be your final UVs as well. So the next thing we're going to look at then is a more kind of complex model. One last thing to show you actually is if you come in here and just go to Polygons, UV Snapshot, you can output your UVs. And I'll just stick this for now on the desktop. Call this out UV example. We'll save this as a JPEG. Just hit OK. And now when we go into Photoshop, we should be able to load that up, and then we're free to begin painting on our assets. There we go. We can see those UVs have come in nicely and are ready to be painted.